Yeah, we are. Okay.
I like to hang all my national titles in my office. That way my clients know that their financial planner can beat up their friend's financial planner.
Beat up or win at arm wrestling?
Both.
Ooh, okay. You straight away, if only thing you know is jiu-jitsu, you're just like, come on, let's go. Okay. Arm wrestling talk. What is it? 29. I'm here with the referee, Luke Pulscher. I think most people know him as a referee, but he's also an arm wrestler. He also steals my beer, and we will never forget about it. I'll always remember it. And people keep bringing it up on every live that I do. Someone's in the chat just talking about it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd have never dreamt that was such a big deal. I didn't even plan on drinking your whole beer. I just opened it, was going to take a drink and hand it back to you. And
this funny part is I never paid for it. I just left, so it wasn't my beer technically.
I didn't either. So I guess that one was on turkey.
Yeah. Both of us just left. Oh man. So let's start from beginning. How long are you in the sport of arm wrestling?
Right at 25 years. December will be 25 years.
25 years. How young you are right now?
49.
49. So you were 24 years old when you stumble onto. How did that happen?
Well, that was my first tournament. So in high school, always arm wrestled. In college, I arm wrestled in bars. And then I found a tournament and went to it. And I won super heavies. I was a big fat kid. When I was a kid, I was overweight, got picked on. So that's why I went to the gym and I started powerlifting when I was in high school. So I just wanted to get stronger than everybody else, so nobody picked on me anymore. And that was long enough ago that you could still solve problems by punching somebody in the nose. And so
good times.
Good times. Yeah, I missed that. Like the first time I went to the gym, I was probably, 14 years old, 5 foot nothing, so your height, but 225 pounds and, soft. I could bench 135 for 2. 3 years later, I'm 5'9", so really tall. Still weighing 225, but I was benching 3 1/4. And back in the early 90s, over a 300-pound bench was a lot. I loved bench. I didn't love bench as much as you love bench. Certainly not that level. But when I was 19 or 20 years old, I benched 415. Still at a body weight of about 225. And then like I said, I was strong, but I was still overweight. So my first tournament I entered, I weighed 280. Still only 5'9". It wasn't like I was, 6'3" when I weighed 280. And I won. And then I went to a wrist wrestling tournament. You've probably never wrist wrestled. With the strap in the center, all in here, loved it. You would love it. You are built for it.
I keep hearing that. That.
And I won that. And I thought, I knew I was good at this, right? Pretty cocky. Went to a tournament a month or two later, and there was arm wrestlers there, and I got my ass handed to me. 2 and out, looked like a chump. And that's where I met Leonard Harkless. And he was the ref at the event. I went up to him after the event and I said, usually I do a lot better than this, my whole 2 other tournaments. And he said, you want to be an arm wrestler? Because you've got a lot of potential. And I said, yeah. He said, you were really bad, but I can show you some things. And I'm like, okay. At the time, all I knew to do was go and pull. And, so my elbow would hurt for 2 weeks after I arm wrestled. he showed me how to top roll. And a couple of months later at a tournament, I was top rolling. And at a break, he's like, "Where'd you learn how to do that?" I'm like, you showed me, remember? And he's like, "No, who do you train with?" I said, "I don't train with anybody. You showed me." And he's like, "Oh, then let me show you this." And I had very natural aptitude for picking up technique quickly. And then I decided that I probably didn't need to weigh 280 pounds. So got myself down to light heavyweight and pulled at 242 for ever. Once in a while, I'd get down to 220 for an event. And then about 9 years ago now, due to lots of reasons, I decided to figure out how to fix my nutrition and really go after the sport. I would love to say that I lost weight because I wanted to be healthier and live longer, but I want to win a world title, and it was not going to happen at 235 pounds. And at the same time, we had some life difficulties. We lost my mother-in-law to a car accident, and 3 months later, we lost my father-in-law to Parkinson's. And so my wife was trying to deal with the loss of both of her parents in a very short amount of time. I couldn't fix it. So I had to take control of something. So I fixed my nutrition, dropped 80 pounds in 8 months, and started winning national titles.
I was just on Facebook, just trying to find fat Luke. I
Found
found
you,
one. I would not recognize you on the street.
Yeah.
I would not recognize you on the street. That's insane, because like you're literally half of what you were, right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
On a good day.
Yeah.
So how did it went from I want to beat everyone to I'm gonna at one point I'm gonna hit Revas and tell him what to do. How did you become a referee in arm wrestling?
So when I was young in the sport, I had a very difficult time controlling the adrenaline. So at a normal tournament where you arm wrestle and then you wait 20 minutes and you arm wrestle and then you wait 20 minutes and you arm wrestle, by the time I'd get to my last matches, I was exhausted because I couldn't calm down. And it was at an event. I didn't do well at the event. I went 2 and out. And again, Leonard Harkless had me start downside reffing for him. And so that taught me a lot, taught me how to get ready to be on the table like that, taught me how to control my adrenaline afterwards so I could go back to reffing. And I had a pretty natural aptitude for reffing, and I was really lucky. Like I learned to ref from Leonard Harkless, Keith Michelle, Bob Koschel, who's no longer with us, and Gary Waddles, all of which at the time were WAF master referees. At the time, Leonard was the head master referee in the world. So that's who taught me to ref, was 4 WAF master referees. And I enjoyed it. It allowed me to travel. I could go to tournaments and they'd pay my airfare because I'd ref. So I could get more places, get more exposure, do more of that. And I just kept building. In 2017, so the first time I went to WAF was in 2000 in Finland. And then the next time I went was 2017. I won my first nationals in the Masters 90 kilogram and the senior 85 kilo. And my son won juniors nationals. So we went to Hungary. He finished 10th in the world in the juniors. I finished 10th in the world in the Masters. And then I took my WAF test, made senior. The next year in Turkey, I made master. And then I've kept reffing pretty continuously. Went back to WAF in 19 in Romania. Didn't ref that year because of all the turmoil that was going on. I just focused on arm wrestling, also my best. I finished 6th in the world masters and 7th in the world in the senior that year. Plum and Demontrout put me out. I guess I can live with that. So then, ref for the Monster Factory, and that got me definitely some more exposure. When Engen first started doing his East-West, I reached out to him and said, hey, if you'd like, I'll come ref for you. At that time, he had no money. So he said, you can come ref, but you've got to pay your own way. I said, that's awesome. No, I'm not going to pay to work. And then after Devin Gennady, Engen reached back out to me and asked me if I was willing to come ref and what he could do for me. And I said, yeah, I'll come ref. So I refed in July, and then obviously back for Hermes and Devin. And as far as smacking Revis goes, he jerked him across the table. You don't do that. Smacked him in the shoulder to get his attention and told him no. And I was telling him no. I realized that I had smacked Revis and thought, wow, this could go terribly. But luckily, by the time I was done scolding him, he looked more like a puppy dog than an angry giant, and everything was fine. And then I saw the picture that showed up on Facebook of me scolding Revis, and I was like, I'm not tall. I'm only 5'9". I get that, but I'm not little. And I looked like a child standing there, and it's like, oh my God.
I thought you and Cristo were the perfect choice for that match. It was
right?
just amazing choice, right? I was
Both
like,
of us reaching up to their hands.
All you needed was me right there beside both of you, just like this, right?
I think the funniest I saw somebody posted was that picture, and the headline was, that down ref's balls must weigh a ton.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think being a referee is a very underrated thing. I think people don't understand how hard it is, right? I have done my fair share of refereeing, and if needed to, I'll ref in Latvia or wherever I'm going. I'll always help with that. But it's hard, right? And I'm just happy that there are people who choose to do that, because it's so hard. Everyone, like, you never win, right? That's the thing. The referee is always the bad guy, right? If there's two guys on table, those two referees suck, right? How do you get over that? Or you just turn like, this is me reffing, I don't care? Yeah,
for the most part, I don't care. I know it's not actually personal. When the competitor is upset with you, that really doesn't bother me at all, because I'm also a competitor and I've been upset at the ref, right? I've barked at referees when I didn't agree with what they said, just like I've been barked at. But almost always, that person that you're reffing that is calling you everything that you should never be called, 10 minutes after the event is over, comes over, pats you on the shoulder and says, man, you did a great job reffing. What? You just told me to do things to my mom that I should never do, and now I'm a great ref. So that part of it doesn't bother me. I really haven't gotten negative feedback from anything at the Monster Factory on social media, at least not that I've seen. The first East versus West event, I didn't see any negative feedback about my reffing. The only negative feedback I saw about my reffing was the Devon match, and I fully expected to see negative feedback about my reffing because it's a Devon match. Now, most of the negative comments I saw, the names that posted them looked very Italian. So, I get it. Their boy lost. Yeah. What I wish people understood is, like you said, refereeing is hard everywhere. But refereeing East versus West is tenfold. And part of it's because the level of competition. The other part of it is the rule set. So everybody wants loose rules so that you get to see matches. And I don't disagree with that idea in a super match format, that you let some of the little things go, or you utilize running fouls like Monster Factory or Arm Wars so that the match gets to play out. What people don't understand is that loose rules, running fouls, all of that is way more difficult to referee than strict rules. WAF, strict rules, really easy to ref. I mean, it's cut and dry, boom, that's what it is. But when you ref East versus West, not only do you have to make a split-second decision on was that a foul, you have to decide, was it a foul that I called? And it's just, there's a lot more going on. And then you add in that level of competition. I mean, Revis Laletten was a terribly difficult match to referee. Just from a standpoint of getting them to set up. Wildly difficult. Probably the easiest guy to ref is Todd Hutchins. Because really, if the wrist is flat, Todd really doesn't care about anything else. Make a square, say go. He doesn't dick around a whole lot in the setup. So it's pretty easy. Devin is difficult to set up. He's not the worst I've ever set up. I actually think the Jerry's Hermes match was harder to ref than the Devin Hermes match was. Jerry was a lot more difficult to set up. And surprising to me, even Hermes was harder to set up against Devin than Devin was. It was very obvious that Devin did a great job making Hermes feel very, very uncomfortable. Because even following the warning in a referee grip instead of a foul in the referee grip and some of those things, if we'd have called that match as tight as we should have, Hermes would have never seen a ready go. He would have fouled out of every match before the match started. He kept opening and moving in a referee's grip. So which just goes to show how good Devin is at making people uncomfortable.
Yeah. He definitely did a good job there to making it his match. I think with Devin, usually the hardest ones are the first rounds, right? And it kind of goes down, it dies out, right? He doesn't, if he doesn't need to fight those battles in the setup, he doesn't fight those battles on the setup.
Right.
But when he feels he needs them, that's what he will do. Who's the hardest guy to referee?
Oh.
Or you don't want to throw anyone under the bus?
No, I'll throw anybody under the bus. I don't care. You know, back in the day, Mike Celieris.
Okay.
I think it was Todd Hutchins who has a quote that you need to have an attorney with you at the table to get a fair grip with Celieris. So he was really, really difficult to ref. Otherwise, a lot of people think that Travis Badgett is hard to ref, and Travis is not hard to ref. Travis actually likes a referee grip. He would just as soon have the setup be run by the refs.
Yeah, because he's so fast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Travis isn't hard to set up. What makes Travis hard at the table is he doesn't shut up. So, you know, and everybody used to say that Devin was the polite version of Travis at the table. I don't know that that's the case anymore. I'm not sure Devin's that polite anymore. But you know, any more, overall, Devin is probably the hardest to set up. I expected him to be more difficult to set up than he was. But I think Devin also knew that I didn't have any problem in the world following him out. And that makes a difference. You know, any competitor is only going to push a referee as far as they think they can get away with.
What do you think makes a good referee?
I think what makes a good referee is you have to actually want to be a good referee, which is way different than knowing the rules, but you have to want to do it well. You have you have to be able to get yourself to a point that you don't care who wins the match at the table. I would say the best on the planet at that is Keith Michelle. Because if you ask Keith Michelle after a tournament about one of your matches, he will look at you and go, did I ref that? He has no clue. He doesn't have an idea who's at the table or not. So he's either old enough that he just can't remember, or he's just that good at separation. And to me, I think what the last piece of it is, you shouldn't want. So to me, the perfect match, the perfect scenario for Devin Hermes would have been, oh my God, that was an amazing match. This happened and that happened. They get all done talking about it and they go, who was the referee? You shouldn't be remembered.
Yeah.
That's my goal when I ref, is that when somebody talks about the match, they don't remember I was the one that refed it.
That is good. That is, I think, yeah, a referee cannot hijack the match, but as well as, if you see complete chaos, I think you, like in the match with Revas and Vitali, you guys took control. I think one of the things I look always in a referee, can he take control, right? Because if you are someone sees an arm wrestler, you will feel when referee allows you to do, like all of us will go on to, and I will test how much cup can I get, right? Is it this or this or this or this, or you have to be right? And you kind of test it and you will see the boundaries that you can go off. And if the ref allows this, thank you, right?
Yep.
So
a fair setup is what a referee will let you get away with.
Yes. Yeah. So I had this, I want to get your thoughts about it. So when I became president of Latvian Arm Wrestling Federation, our refereeing was okay, but it wasn't like nearly as good as it is now. And Olis Gantmuros, he was the first guy that came to me. He's like, I just want to ref, right? And now we have few non-arm wrestlers that just ref, and that's what they do. And we try to make it as high level as possible. But what I do with all my guys that are like top level, all of them, especially the young ones, all of them ref. Like Vlad, Kaspars, Kristaps, all of them, Sandris, are referees. If I need them, they will be, or we're going to go to some other tournament if needed to, they can step in and referee on a highest level, in my opinion. Maybe not master referee, but senior level, right? I think it's a great skill for arm wrestler to understand, because when you look through the glasses or eyes of referee, you're seeing different things. And then you kind of can figure out what referee will notice, where he will pay attention, right? And all good, you can use those things in your advantage, right? What is seen, what is unseen, what is good, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, right? It's not to manipulate the match, but to understand arm wrestling better. Would you think that everyone who, like, would you give the same advice I'm giving to my guys? Because I'm going to take, like, I'm like, you want to be good, you're going to referee.
Yeah, I think refereeing teaches you things about how to arm wrestle that you will never see if you don't referee.
Damn right.
It's the best seat in the house. And especially if you're head refereeing, not only do you see everything, but you feel a lot of it. And then if you think about what you feel when you arm wrestle versus what you feel as a ref, the best example of that I can give is John Brzezinski. So I have arm wrestled John Brzezinski in tournaments, which is not as awesome as it sounds. And I have reffed John many, many, many times. And John, and I know people say, well, refs shouldn't give predictions of matches, but I'm not reffing the match, so I'm happy to predict. John is going to eat Sasho up, because Sasho is known for being able to put anyone in a hook, and I do not believe he can put John there. And John has an ability when they're just about ready to say go, he somehow does this, but without movement that a referee can feel. But as the competitor, you feel your hand starting to go. And it's horribly uncomfortable as his opponent. Knowing he does that from the opponent's side, I'm like, well, I'm going to make sure that, he doesn't do that to the guy that he's arm wrestling. So I feel for it. I don't feel a thing. After the match is over, the opponent says, man, he put pressure into my wrist before the go and opened up my hand. I'm like, how does he do that? Because from the referee perspective, you don't see it, you don't feel it. But as a competitor, man, it's very, very noticeable. So you start to learn as a referee, okay, there's a lot of ways in the setup to take an advantage. It's wildly legal, but you'd never know what was going on if you didn't have both aspects to see.
Yeah, that's I know what you mean. I have like just pulled with John just a few years ago, just on table, like, and you instantly, when you grip up with John, you know what made John, right?
Yep.
There's the thing that he does that, like, I haven't felt it since, right? Everyone will have their own version of what he does with his can control, but it just works on different level. Yeah, I wanted to get and talk about the East versus West, because you're not going to be refereeing this card, right?
Right.
Okay. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about refereeing, because I really think it's we need more referees. We need more people passionate about the sport, and I think
need
as
more
an
good
athlete,
referees.
we need good referees. Damn right, we need. So, how do you become good referee? What would be like? How do you learn, teach, become?
So that's such a hard question. I think how you teach is you have to be willing to work with somebody that wants to be a referee, and not just head ref and let them downside, but in between the matches, explain to them what you're doing, what they're doing wrong, how to do it better, how to position themselves better, all those different things. Now there's a lot of tools out there to help with that. So there's a website called armrefs.com. I know there's a website because I built it.
I know this because there was a question about this in a comment, so I wanted to ask.
Yeah, and I'm not looking at any of the comments, which is probably best. I don't want to know what people really think about.
It's terrible. It's all terrible.
So it's a US or North American based website right now. At some point, may it be worldwide, maybe. But my goal was to get a listing of certified referees, where they're at, so that if somebody's holding a tournament, they can go on the website, go, I'm having a tournament in Billytown, West Virginia, and oh, well, these refs are all within driving distance, so I'm going to reach out to them and see if I can get a certified referee versus my cousin Tim, who saw arm wrestling once and is willing to ref.
Tim Talmadge, right?
Yeah, no, Tim's a very good ref. And then with that, if you go further, the WAF rules, the IFA rules, the USAA and the UAL rules are all posted. I tried to get the Arm Wars rules posted, but Neil won't give them. So they're a little proprietary. So, and then there's also tips and techniques on that website. So there's a lot of stuff that was written by Leonard Harkless, Keith Michelle, Dave Hicks out of Canada, and different guys of just little things to how to be a better referee. And then there's also links to the video series that Judith from Poland put together on how to formulate some of those referee things on the table. So all that's accessible through that website.
One more time, website name is armrefs.com. I'm going to post the link in the description of this podcast so everyone can find it and go, and we give a little bit more exposure, because I need more referees. I just want to see good refereeing.
Yeah. So there's several different resources on there to kind of help educate how to be a better referee. And then, like anything, you have to do it, right? You can't become a good arm wrestler if you don't ever arm wrestle. You can't be a good hockey player if you don't go out on the ice. You're not going to be a good referee if you don't ref. And then, you know, just from a trait standpoint, I think you have to really want to learn. You have to actually understand the rules, and you have to be humble. You can't want to be the center of attention and be a good ref.
Yes, I think so. Like you said, referee should be in the shadows and take control when needed, strike when needed to, right?
Yep.
We have too many rule sets, and Artem made this. He did make a post or something, and he said it perfectly. Like every other sport will adapt to the rule set. We adapt rule set to the sport, right? And we keep changing it. Competitor, Luke, what's your favorite rule set?
WAF.
Buff. And as a referee as well?
Yeah, because it's easy.
Yeah. Because it's just black and white, right? Elbow came off, foul, right?
Yeah. So it was, you know, and I think Americans or North Americans in general are kind of looked at as needing to change the rules. I don't see that as much in Europe. Now East versus West, yes, and Arm Wars, but Arm Wars was very
every tournament follows regular WF rule set. Like
right.
Every tournament, like there will be bad and good and bad reffing as it always is, right? And good and bad calls as it always is, but it's the same rule set everywhere. Only time they change if someone is doing super match series.
Right. So when I first started coming back to WAF to compete was when WAL was really popular. And the number one thing I got asked from the European athletes was, how come Americans can't arm wrestle with rules? That was embarrassing. And it just was. I was like, we're not all like that. I mean, I don't even know how to answer that. But the whole idea of, well, we're not going to call intentional slips. Well, okay, but that changes the sport. We're not gonna call elbow fouls unless it's, you know, over an inch. Okay, it changes the sport. There are certain organizations in the US that have made the rules better, and that's the rules they want to run because they think it's better. I will not ref for them. Because the way they've changed the rules, I don't believe it allows me to be a good referee. And all you have as your referee is your integrity. And when you go and the rule set doesn't allow you to be a good ref, that hurts you. So there are a few smaller promoters in the US that when they say, hey, will you come ref for our event? What rules are you using? Well, we kind of do it this way. Nope. Well, I won't do it. So, you know, there's that out there as well. But by and large, it also amazes me how many very high level arm wrestlers don't actually know the rules. They think they do, but they don't. And that, I mean, how many okay, we'll use more of a worldwide
I think the best example was
players.
I think one good example was when John pinned Zurab on his side on the table, and he was confused. Why did he? Right?
Yep.
And it's like in WF, it's very well-known rule. You can only win on your side. You cannot pin opponent on his side, right?
Yep. Whether your hand's on top or not.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a few other instances where because you know some guys have never been in that position. I think John may never have been in that position, or right, or it's for me it's kind of weird because I still think there's a different way to enforce, to maybe let's say for super matches to enforce like WF rule set, because I think it is the best one because it's the most fair one, right? The problem is when we're starting to abuse it, right? Getting elbow up to survive situation, right? Or some other things that you can do there to get a restart or something. It's hard. We're still looking for a perfect formula, but there should be like, so if you know, if you lift your elbow up, right, you're gonna you not only gonna lose, but you're gonna receive less money. Because let's say me and you are arm wrestling, right, and you are absolutely dominating me, and I'm gonna try just pull as much as I can, just maybe get you injured, just pulling you back. I know I'm gonna get a foul because I'm risking it, right? I'm risking it, but I'm not risking anything more.
Right.
If there would be something else, like if all of us, people are doing these things, come sit down with referees, promoters, and athletes, and kind of figured out like, okay, how can we make less fouls and more arm wrestling?
Yep.
Less stopping the match and more arm wrestling. Is it bigger pads? Is it maybe size on the pads? Or, there should be an answer to that.
I think the best current rule set for supermatch arm wrestling is arm wars.
Yeah,
I think it's very closely followed by what the Monster Factory does, because we're basically doing arm wars.
Yeah.
I know we're not doing arm wars rules perfectly as arm wars does. And that is only because I don't have the arm wars rule set. If we did, it's what we'd run. Because I do think it's the current best scenario, because there's running fouls. If you have a runner, you can't win. All you can get is a restart. It allows the match to continue, but it still holds you accountable for the fouls that you're creating. And it's a good middle ground. The next thing that I would love to see implemented in the sport is you put a 1/4 inch lip around the edge of the pad.
Yeah, I'm thinking something like that. So you know where the edge is, right?
Well, you know where the edge is, and if the elbow comes above that, it's a foul. It eliminates all the micro hops.
Yeah.
Because you can't see them.
That is true. And for me, like I think like every promoter is doing their best to create good matches, right? I think East versus West. And if you have two athletes that are very good at not fouling out, you will have amazing match. It doesn't matter what it is. Like Todd Hutchings and Sagov, they had an absolute war. There were some fouls in between, but the time they spent on the pads was more than any other match, maybe except David and I forgot his opponent's name, but it's like these micro fouls, right? For me, let's say I'm sitting there, right? I'm sitting in a hook, and if I just move my elbow just a little bit, few millimeters off the pad, but I get a better position to sit in that hook, that's a huge advantage for me, right?
Yes.
So I see there's every foul for me, every move off the pad is advantage. I never seen it differently, because you're trying to get somewhere. You're trying to get somewhere always. Like if I came off the pad, I was trying it, but I could, right? If I lifted up, I was trying to get more height, but I could, right? So it's for me, and I understand what we are right now sacrificing, right? We're sacrificing some of that strictness for some longer matches, but I still think we would have longer matches if we just enforce people not fouling out differently. If it would be your wallet on the line, you would think differently before you foul out. You would
in
think
Latvia, in just a tournament, just an average tournament in Latvia that you're reffing. How many elbow fouls do you call during that event?
Not a lot. Not a
lot, right?
Not a lot. Maybe more like if it's beginners and amateurs, there's always less than pros, because pros know how to manipulate rules. So they will like, I can be this guy. I will maybe try to hit before the go. I will maybe, risk that my elbow comes off the pad. You risk it. That's where you get the, and then people get angry when someone risked it. But you have to understand, he risked it and he was ready to lose because he was risking it. Right. So,
but you don't have a lot of elbow fouls.
No.
Okay. So then when you go to Worlds, your arm wrestlers don't often foul out. It happens.
It happens most of the
It's
time
not common.
when you risk it, when you are risking,
Right.
right?
But just in the course of a match, it's not common.
No.
Here, forever, and Leonard and I talk about this a lot. And Leonard has said he wishes he could go back to the beginning and not do this. But you used to let things go. Right? Well, they're new. It's not a big event. We're going to let this go. And if from day one, every rule was just enforced, Americans wouldn't be whining and crying about elbow fouls at WAF because they'd simply pull within the rules. So it's all in how you train. It's no different than if you go, you really need to come to the States and spend some time with me and go to a couple of practices. So I'm willing to bet that if I come to your gym and go to a practice, your guys set up for practice and practice in a way that mimics how you set up in an event.
Everyone except Raymond Santanovich.
Okay.
Yes.
You go to
most of the time we're square, some like that. If it's most of the time 99, even more, right? That's like me and Giannis arm wrestle. We start square every time, knuckles, everything, right? You don't start like this. You don't get these positions. We always there because it's been like,
that is not what you find here. You find here.
Yeah.
Okay, go. What do you mean go?
Yeah.
Right? It's absurd. Why are you setting up like that? You can't do that in an event. That
is right.
I know this. I'm a referee. I will never let you do this in an event. Stop doing it in practice. But there's way too many people that care if they win in practice.
I was looking at trying to remember, Christos Blumans, our junior,
impressive young man. Impressive young man.
He in the last World Championship, I think he got one elbow foul, and 2 times, I think 2 fouls for just like slipping in wrong slipping, and he had like 20 matches, right? So we try our best, because I recognize very early it's hard to compete with someone who knows the rules and who arm wrestles within the rules, right? And like you say, if you come to the practice, and there's so many times I've heard this where the guys they come to practice, they pull like this, and they're like, they're so confident, comes to the tournament, doesn't place top 3, in their mind they're like better than the guy that won. They couldn't even read it, right? Because they're like, you will not even get there. That's the thing. You will not get there because you practice in positions where you are comfortable, and you're very uncomfortable on a start. This is why a lot of guys will this, right? If they don't know that they're better at referee's grip and they feel uncomfortable, then they get the referee's grip and it's even more uncomfortable, right? They get fouled out and like, no, I still was stronger. I still was better. Right.
I think the best advice I got when I was a younger arm wrestler was go to practice, put your hand up, let the person across the table get any grip they want, and then just close your fingers in practice. Because then you're never really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the perfect grip to feel good on the table. And stuff. But anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, we could rant about this for days.
Yes,
right? We are on the same page with a bunch of those things. But I think arm wrestling is, it's weird. After all this time, we still kind of trying to figure out the right rules, like Arm Wars, Monster Factory, East versus West, and King of Table, the biggest promotions, right? Different sets of rules. All of them have different sets of rules. Just small nuances, small changes. We're trying to find the right. And I remember when WL came out and everyone was very angry with how they did the things. And now most of the promotions are doing the same things, taking because you know how you can put it on TV. And it's very
Right.
hard to put on TV 3 flash starts and just, 6 elbow fouls. It's very hard to put that and sell that, right?
Yeah.
So we need a little bit, but I think there's different way to do it. There's also a different way to do it. It's on, like, John doesn't get fouled out a lot, and he doesn't have a lot of fouls, right? It's so rare that John will have a foul. Right now, maybe because his shoulder, that sometimes he will lift his elbow at the end, but it's very rare, and he's the best, right? And if he can do it, definitely everyone else can do it, I think.
Yeah.
So you will have a big match. Not only you're going to referee on Monster Factory, you're going to pull Eduardo Tiete. Yeah, another Brazilian, right?
No. Yes, a Brazilian. Sorry. Eduardo Tiete.
Yeah. So you're going to take over the whole country. You just had a super match there.
Just one Brazilian after another. After I get through Eduardo, I'm going after Gabby.
Okay. Yeah. I hope Gabby doesn't hear this. So it's a big match. Eduardo is strong, good puller inside. Me and you have been working together. We're trying to find a correct way to prepare you for this battle, which I think is going to be a big battle. We still have 2 months, right?
Yep.
I
wanted the match. What?
Have you pulled with him?
I pulled with him on the practice table last April.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was April, after he pulled Craig Tullier.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't take much off of a practice table. He had already pulled, his shoulder was bothering him. I was still recovering from my tendon reattachment. Neither of us were anywhere near our top form. And really what I think I learned from that is I can pull with him. I don't know if I'm going to win a best out of 5. I mean, of course, I think I will, right? Nobody goes, well, you shouldn't go into a match expecting to lose. I do not expect to go through him easily. My thing is, I really, really want to figure out truly what level my hook is at. Because I think I have a very high level hook.
Oh yeah, and I think so too. I pulled you a bunch of times. So
yeah, and I really want to know how high level. I haven't been beat in a hook match in several years at this point, by some guys with good hooks. When I get beat, it's by a fast, tricky top roller. And even that's getting less and less. So that's good. But, I'm going to find out. I'm definitely going to get a gauge on my level with Eduardo, because we pull basically the same style. I've watched some of his video. There's not a lot of his video out there. So when I say the same style, we both hook, but we do hook differently. I think the way that I hook is an advantage. But I'm sure he thinks the way he hooks is an advantage. And yeah, I think regardless of who wins, there are going to be some fun matches to watch, because they should be dug in grinders.
Yeah, I have a feeling it will come down to small nuances, and those are the ones that we're going to be focusing on more. So you is it going to be the first match of the card?
So this Monster Factory has more matches than any Monster Factory has ever had. I think Mike and Rebecca are trying to kill me. Mm-hmm. So there's like 6 or 8 matches Friday night, and then 8 or 10 matches Saturday. We will compete on Saturday. And I assume we'll probably be the first match on Saturday, but I don't know that for sure.
That will make sense, right?
Yeah. Get the match over, then I can start reffing, and
you get drunk, celebrate, come to the table. You're like, okay,
ready, go.
All of you 4, just take the hand. Yay!
Yeah. So,
hey, whoever falls out first gets a shot.
Yeah. So it should be a great event. and stuff. So, I'll have Bob Brown in my corner because I don't expect you're coming. But there's probably either Bob Brown, Corey Miller, or AJ Henson. You probably know the name AJ, but that's probably about it.
Yep.
Those are the guys that I've trained with the most over time, that know me the best and can, outside of you actually coaching me through stuff, and we arm wrestle very similar. There's probably nobody better in my corner than Bob. I mean, Bob is a technician and knows how I pull, knows how I feel.
He'll be like, try the King's move now.
Right.
So like, try, well, just try it. We'll see how that works. Yeah.
Forget
that hook nonsense.
Yeah. When Michael asked me if I wanted a match, I said, yeah, I want Eduardo. He was just quiet for a minute and he goes, really? I'm like, yeah. What do you think? He goes, I think you're fucking nuts. And I said, perfect. And he said, what's your goal? And I said, what do you mean besides winning? He goes, yeah. I said, my goal is to make Eduardo want a top roll.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would be great.
And he will not get it.
No.
He'll not get it.
Because we'll go to a strap, and I don't think either Eduardo or I, once we're in a strap, can make ourselves top roll. I don't think it's physically possible. So, but no, I've met Eduardo. He's obviously a beast on the table. He's a super nice guy. I'm really looking forward to the match.
So that's going to be December 2nd, right?
Yep. So
December
I've got it Saturday. This Saturday, I'll be at Colorado State. I'll be reffing there, and I'll also pull. And then we need to decide if I'm going to arm wrestle the Brezink Cup November 11th. So that's something we need to think about. I want to compete November 11th, or if I just want to ref there and do some after pulling, and we've got plenty of time to figure that out.
Okay.
So that's 3 weeks before Eduardo.
Yeah. Well, it can be good practice. It can be come in as a good practice, right? Do most of your training by the first part of the week, and then rest. Don't come in 100%, just come in good, right? Rested, and then take the competition as practicing ready goes, and then after pulling, and then some roughing as well.
And that's what I've done this week. I trained yesterday. Today I'll train tomorrow. I'll take Thursday, Friday off, and pull Saturday.
Yeah. I don't see, like, if it's not a big competition, right? And you can put in your mind that you are tired, it works for advantage, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I like to be, like I say, oiled up. I like to be in a position, like when I'm training, I feel good. When I'm taking 4 days off, I hate myself. I want to get back on table, right? And so for everyone, it's
even if it's a bigger match, like, so take Eduardo. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of that week, I'll still go to the gym every day. I'll just do really, really light movement and just to keep everything oiled up and moving. But I don't like to not do anything. That whole idea of don't do anything for 10 days sounds terrible to me.
No, for me, it's so much lost time that you're never going to get back, right?
Yep.
Right, and for everyone is different. Like I don't for Sanders, because Sanders trains so hard. It's his intensity and volume is really, really big, and he can push himself to go really, really hard, and then he can take 10 days off and will be amazing. I take 10 days off, I'm the worst, right? So it's just different for everyone, because I could. Like even now, we had big practice with on Saturday. We had Fia coming here and Klaas Martin. I think you know Klaas as well, from Sweden. So they came in to practice with us, and it was me, Jan Simons, and I arm wrestled day before just for 2 hours, and then I arm wrestled with them for 3 hours, and it's fine. I didn't feel like much difference. Of course, I couldn't do ready goes because I'm too tired to do that. But for arm, I just felt fine, strength wise and endurance wise. So I'm sad I'm not going to see you on East versus West 10. It's looking like it's the best card I have ever seen.
I think so.
And because you are not going to be refereeing, I want to ask your opinion, your predictions a little bit on some of the matches. And you have ref David Samushia before, and he will be facing Engin Terzi for 85 kilo world title. Engin beat up on me, and now I think he's awesome. I think he is strong. Doesn't matter what kind of shape he is, right? He might say 70, 80, 90, doesn't matter. I think he's so dangerous. How do you see that match?
I mean, an 80% Engin is still better than most humans on the planet.
Yeah.
To me, Engin falls into that category of hard to bet against. I mean, the only match in the last couple of years that Engin had where I 100% expected him to lose was John. Right. I mean, and I've looked up to Engin as an arm wrestler forever. And I wouldn't expect Engin to remember this, but I refereed a match of his at WAF in Hungary, and there was a controversial call. We stepped off, we discussed, we came back, we made a decision, and the decision was a restart. Engin still ended up losing that match. Later, Engin walked up to me and said, "You're a very good referee." That was a huge compliment to me from somebody like Engin. I expect Engin to win the match.
I think this card has so many matches that are, in my opinion, 50-50, right? You see clear ways how one guy can win and the other guy too. Sarah,
I think for David to win, he just simply has to be that much stronger. Because I don't think he can out-arm wrestle Engin.
But maybe he can survive.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. If he drags Engin into deep water, that's probably his best bet.
Yeah. Because I see Engin taking his hand. I see Engin top rolling him. I really hope he's not taking this lightly, because Engin is so good and he'll be so good, and it's it's a great match. Sarah and Egle, Egle, right? You're
Yep.
It's at 80 kilos. 80 kilos.
I think 80 kilo helps Sarah.
Yeah.
I love Sarah. I've loved Sarah ever since she entered into the sport. She's got such a great story. She's got, how she came into the sport and then what she rose to and everything. But I think it's a 50-50 match. I mean, I think that's one of the harder ones to call. I want Sarah to win. I think Sarah has all the tools and the power to be able to do it, but I think Engin knows all the ways to stop her and win as well. So it's got to be a 3-2 match, whichever way it goes.
Yeah.
Do you see that one differently?
It's hard. Like, Egle's power, of course, was when she was bigger. She's coming down weight. And I think Sarah is very good arm wrestler. Like, all the strengths that Egle has, I think technique wise, Sarah is better. Maybe not by much, but a little bit. It all will come down to integrity and endurance. And I think like 3-2, that sounds about reasonable for that one. Right.
I mean, I think it's 60-40 Sarah.
Yeah, it could be. It definitely could be. Uncle Todd will he be the new 105 kilo world champion?
I hope so.
Or it will be amazingly Kidrigali.
Yeah. I mean, again, Kidrigali is one of my favorite arm wrestlers out there right now. He's so fun to watch. He's so impressive. But Todd is that factor, right? You've got to be able to deal with the and And after, it's so hard to gauge, you know, we just watched John delight everyone except Alexi by beating Alexi. I think the only person that wasn't delighted with that was Alexi. And it was, and the control and how John did it was so awesome. I mean, my wife was laughing at me watching the match because I was like a little kid. And it was amazing. But just before that, we saw what Todd did to John. So you can't tell me that John wasn't in shape for the Todd match with how he pulled against Alexi. Maybe John didn't care as much about the Todd match as he did Alexi, but it's still John. So
John.
Todd is at a level I don't think Todd has been at before. And that's scary because Todd's been at a pretty impressive level before. But I think Kitagali is a better arm wrestler. I mean, I think he's got 7 different options that he can use to potentially beat Todd, and Todd's got 1 or 2 ways to beat him. It's just those 1 or 2 ways are really, really impressive ways. And I don't know if Kitagali has ever felt anything like he'll feel with Todd. Because it's one thing to take a normal person here.
Yeah.
But you take Todd here,
Doesn't
and
matter.
it doesn't matter. You got to take Todd here. And that's really hard to do. So I'm cheering for Uncle Todd. So I mean, I love Todd, but boy, I think it's my favorite match on the card.
That is I think the top 3 matches for me, like this is definitely there. But so you already said that Sasha will not win against John.
No.
You think because Sasha has Sasha is smaller than me and you, right?
Oh yeah.
Order, right? And his hands isn't big. And for me, I see the biggest problem will be getting around John's stomp, because he can get good and deep against normal humans, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with John, it's such an advantage what he can do there, right? That I see John stopping. Well, the problem is the Sasha style is the style that keeps beating John. That's the style that keeps beating John. The I don't care about nothing side pressure.
Right. I mean, I think the danger for John is, I think it's going to go to the strap, because I don't think Sasha can hold on to him even if he wants to.
No.
And I think Sasha's hand is too small for John to just hold on to. And if, and I think it's a big if, Sasha can put John in that losing defensive position, John's gas tank might go. Because I think Sasha probably has better overall endurance. I just don't think Sasha can get him there. I think it's going to end up with John sitting like this, Sasha here, but I don't think Sasha has enough lever to make it work. If you think of the guys that have beaten John in that position, they've got twice as long a lever as Sasha does. And I think it's going to look a lot more like Zurab than Irakli.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. That's like nothing I can disagree with that assessment, because I see that match going similarly. The only factor for me is how strong is Sasha and how good shape he is. Because I think looking at some of the matches he just had in Worlds, he's coming out of his shoulder a lot, right? And with John, you just leave it open. You're not going to get it back. You're not going to get it back. John will put the brakes with the pronator and hand control and everything else. Yeah, this is another one of those where, you know, we always wanted to see. And then the problem for me, it's not going to be a title match, but it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. Right. Even if it, like, John couldn't care less. I
think out of all the matches, this is the match where there is a very high potential of an arm wrestler hurting themselves. I think Sasha's at a great danger the way he pulls to hurt himself against John, because John will have the position and Sasha's going to go anyway. And with that potential looseness in Sasha's shoulder, I think he might tear himself apart.
Ooh. Let's hope he doesn't.
Absolutely. But that the whole key for Sasha to be able to do that is the fact that the guy he's doing that against moves.
Yeah.
And I don't think John's gonna.
Yeah. And we have the return, Dennis versus Devin.
Hey, I met Dennis for the first time in Istanbul. I'd never met him before.
Okay.
What the hell is that?
That wasn't even like I met him 2018. That was insane, Dennis. That was different levels. But when he pulled John, in your training, you're in shape, right? He was bigger, thicker, denser, right? In King of the Table when I met him than he was right now in Istanbul. And just by looking at the videos, I think he surpassed that. I think he's somewhere close to what he used to be.
Have you ever met Richard Lucas?
No. I just heard stories. Giannis told me that's the biggest human he has ever seen, like the widest human he has ever seen.
Yes. And everywhere you touch on Richard, feels like this. Yeah. He's the densest human I've ever met. It's weird. And then I met Dennis. And Dennis makes Richard seem a little more normal. I've never met anybody with fingers this big. Either his mother or his father evidently still lived in a cave. My God, I've never seen structure like that.
Yeah, Devin told me, because he said, I've been around a lot of strong people, a lot of people in strength sports. He said, I never seen human like that. And it made me think, because I have never seen one either, right? He's very, very different.
Yeah. And and Richard is met very many humans like Richard either. And Richard and Dennis are different, but I think after that Arnold match where Dennis pulled Richard, Dennis made the comment that Richard was the strongest human he'd ever arm wrestled. And I believe, and I know we're getting off subject, but I think Richard actually has a winning record against John. But anyway, Dennis and Devin, I've got to believe Devin is the favorite. If for no other reason than pure activity. He has been so active. He is wildly unique in the way that he continues to adapt. I think this lighter, healthier version of Devin is way, way better than the version that pulled Levon. In every aspect. I think strength, conditioning, fluidity on the table, and mental. I think he feels better physically, not carrying all that extra weight, and mentally then just feels more like an athlete. But Dennis is the what if factor. What level is Dennis at? If Dennis is anywhere near the power level that he used to be, it's going to be a hell of a match to watch. I think I agree with you and Neil. It could be ugly, really, really ugly.
Yeah.
And I think the ugly could bounce back and forth to who's ugliest. I don't see a double king that will happen. But yeah, I don't know. I think Devin is the clear favorite. But I think Hermes was the favorite against Devin, and Devin simply dismantled him. If Devin can find that chink or two in Dennis first round, it's gonna be a really long day for Dennis. The The big benefit that I think Dennis has is I do not think Devin can get in his head.
Yeah,
I think
so. Yeah,
the combination of the language barrier, and I just don't think Dennis cares.
yeah, I think so too. And it's
Right?
yeah, but I believe master strategist Devin Larratt is right now thinking of ways how to fight that battle. Right?
Mhm.
How he will figure out the way to get a battle before the battle. I guarantee you. We'll see something on that week leading up. I guarantee it, and I know it.
Well, and I want your opinion of this. When did Hermes lose the match with Devin?
I think he didn't feel good on a competition day. He looked good all throughout the week. He like confidence, like he was coming, like you can see the confidence, and then it kind of all came down. I don't know if it's late evening or he was tired or whatever was the other thing, but his energy was kind of flat. And then the first round, when you're fighting and you're getting fouled out, right? And you lose and all those things happen. I think he lost on that first round. That's when he lost it.
I think he lost sometime on Thursday or Friday.
You think so? When they were doing all this, gripping up and
all the chipping that Devin did.
Yeah.
All week long.
Yeah.
All the chipping.
Yeah.
I think that's what was the biggest indicator. Now, had that not have happened, I still think Devin won the match.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
I think under any scenario, Devin wins that day. Because where Hermes was weak, Devin was strong. And that made all the difference there. It wouldn't have mattered in the setup. Every match could have been an absolute perfect WAF strict referee grip, would not have changed the outcome of that match at all. But mentally, I think Hermes suffered that week. And I don't see that happening to Dennis. And I think it's a terrible idea to piss Dennis off. I mean, that just can't be a good idea.
No, I think it's I'm really excited. I just I don't know what's going to happen. I really want to see it happening, and I think it's going to be amazing. So we have 11th of November, East versus West 10. We already have number 10, which is amazing. Then Monster Factory. What is the number 4 or 3?
5.
Okay, I've seen all of them. Why am I thinking like 3 or 4? You're checking, right? You're double checking.
Yep.
Yeah. Monster Factory 5 on December.
5.
Yes. December number 2.
Yep.
Luke, thank you. This was awesome. Great conversation.
This was fun. It only took us like a month to figure it out.
That is true. You are at least top 20 of my favorite referees. I just couldn't, right? I couldn't end this good. I have to say, no, thank you. It was awesome talk.
As far as coaches go, I'm really glad you checked with Giannis.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, you owe me a beer.
I do.
Yeah.
Welcome to come collect it anytime.
I saw a super chat from our best friend Artem Taranenko.
Oh, good Lord.
It says, everyone knows you become a ref when you can't arm wrestle. You have any response to that?
I've seen Artem ref, so makes sense.
Well, there you go, Artem. Okay, guys, thank you for joining in. Armwrestling Talk 29, Luke Pulscher. Luke, good luck, and we'll talk soon, right?
Thanks, Ray.